live with Bishop DeDe. I am Bishop DeDe, and I'm so glad to have this time to start our day with intentionality, to start it with prayer and maybe conversation. Whatever platform you're watching or listening on, you're welcome to post a question or a comment to let me know what's on your mind. If you have a prayer request this morning, I want to start off by, of course, acknowledging the passing of the Pope. Um, what a beloved person, a faithful leader, and a steady servant of God. And we are all, I think, bereft and will miss his presence in the world, his voice for truth and justice, for climate change, for the care of humans, and his steadiness and faithfulness. So, um, all of us in this season of Easter hold him before God's care and keeping, as well as all who are grieving and in this time of transition. And yes, happy Easter. The Lord is risen. The Lord is risen indeed. And so we start this Easter season with hearts attuned to God's resurrection, God's grace that is stronger than death and extends far beyond our temporal realm. And that gives us such confidence, doesn't it, that God is at work in the world around us, that we can have faith that there is love beyond all measure, and even and especially in a time where we can't feel it, to know that God is with us. So, good morning, Valerie. So glad you're here, and Marty. Uh, Great to be with everyone. Um, I don't know about you, and maybe it was a holdover from Sunday, but I woke up thinking or singing in my head, "Alleluia, Alleluia! Give thanks to the for the risen, waba, risen Lord." Remember, it's early, so perfection is not my goal, but faithfulness, yes. And so I thought we might sing this morning for together. So here we go, embracing our imperfection and giving thanks that God's grace is greater. So let us sing together. Alleluia, alleluia. Give thanks to the risen Lord. Alleluia, alleluia. Give praise to our King. Jesus is Lord o'er all the earth. He is the King of salvation. Alleluia, alleluia. Give thanks to the risen Lord. Alleluia, alleluia. Give praise to his name. To start the day and remember that God is God and loves us, loves you and is with you in those places where this new day is an opportunity to start over, to start anew and to let go of what has been and take hold of what can be and to turn our life to God's grace and mercy is such a real grace. It's so amazing. And to think that God, that we can pray and be in relationship with God, I think we take it for granted all the time and don't realize what an absolute comfort and blessing that can be. So, however you conceive of God, to know that you are loved and that the love we share comes from and flows through us and binds us together. So, what to say about what is happening right now? For some of us, some of us are feeling good and feel unshaken by things. Some of us are terrified and feel very destabilized by what's happening. And I think really I'm not sure that anyone, even the people who say they're pretty happy, feel completely calm. There's an anxiety that I'm hearing and seeing in people. And of course, our posts on social media. Please refrain from uh, being dehumanizing or denigrating on social media. The things we put out into the world, the words we say, our actions, our activities, what we want to be about. It's so important as followers of Jesus that we pay attention to the things we say. There are things that I just don't think we should joke about or say as followers of Jesus. I think there are things that are, in fact, wrong. Um, I remember years ago now, there was a show on TV, and it was one of these reality shows, and it was about a family, and it was kind of, granular and got into their, day to day lives. And a lot of the pretense of the show was kind of laughing at how idiotic some of the people in the family were, how they would say things and do things that were just sort of um, laughable in a sort of Schadenfreude way. And a friend of mine was like, "You have to watch the show." And so I watched the show, and I realized at the end of it, I felt kind of ugh after it. I had kind of the ick, which is a term for those of us who are of a certain generation, young people, the ick. But I just felt not comfortable. And it took me actually a little while to realize that what I was uncomfortable about is that a lot of the premise was to look down on this person or to kind of be like, oh, they're so weird and what's wrong with them? And isn't it funny how weird they are? And to sort of build ourselves up as if somehow we're better than this person or we're more put together. And I will confess to you, I've never been a big reality TV show watcher. I've actually never seen an episode of Survivor, so that made me make me kind of nerdy and outcast in my own way. But I just thought, how we are with one another is how we are. So when we're patient and kind, then we experience patience and kindness with our own souls. And when we're uh, when we are grateful and generous, then we feel that generosity and that gratitude builds in us. And when we put others down, it harms our souls. I think because our souls can hear us and realize that we're not doing the right thing. And so, in this Easter season, for all of us to think about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, however we may imagine it, whatever our theological understanding of it is, however we're living into this moment of Easter, it is an invitation to live in a different way, in a transformed way, to have our minds set on things that are greater than the troubles before us, as it were. And so I invite you and myself, all of us, this day, this Tuesday, the 22nd of April, that we consider how we are adding to goodness in the world, how we're supporting others and encouraging the work of Jesus alive in our midst, and where in places where we may need to continue to repent, to change our mind, to try a new tactic. Clearly, we've got the hatred, fear, anxiety uh, down. So, to practice forgiveness and offering peace and calmness. I'm always aware when I'm at stores, or at least I try to be aware. A lot of times I am in a hurry and I'm not paying attention. But then I try to slow myself down and think about how I'm engaging with others in a store, or how I'm engaging with people around me, and to be that person who is calm or considerate or thinking about the ways in which we relate to each other. I know I've had experiences where other people have been kind and considerate for me, and I it encourages me to respond in kind. It's like, "Oh, they were thoughtful. Well, I'm going to be thoughtful." A friend of mine used to, and I think still does probably, when she's at a coffee shop, she may buy a coffee for the person in the line behind her, and what often happens is that then that person buy, and so on, it becomes a gift that's self-giving. And I've read that some people have sort of denigrated this practice or said instead of buying coffee for people who can afford it, to buy food for those who cannot. Those are valid criticisms. But however, today we can be kind and generous. Wherever we need to start, let's start there. Let's start with the things we can do to be kind and generous. Um, and so glad to be with it. Good morning, Shelley and Sue and Kathy. I think I missed some folks. Barbara, let's see, Sue. Um, so glad and happy Easter to everyone. So glad to be with you. But to think in this time of resurrection that in this in this understanding in this church season that God has come to us, taught us how to live, died for us, and is risen, and that we are invited into this beautiful movement of redemption, grace, and resurrection. That in our own lives, we can experience resurrection not just in the sweet by and by, and not just when we die, but resurrection can be alive in our own life, in our own time. We can be renewed as people, and those parts of us that have long been dormant can be re engaged. So, our compassion, our sense of peace, our ability to help others. One thing I want to make sure I mention today is those of you who are in the Diocese of Central New York, we have started a way of living out our rule of life. As a diocese, we have a rule of life. And what can one person do to live our rule of life? To pray, to call someone, to pray for someone, to give, to embolden ourselves to stand with others who are suffering or downcast. So I encourage you to look at that and to think about how you might be part of living out our faith in a living, lively way. One thing, especially now in this season of growing, to add a row, whatever your gardening practice may be, whether it's hydroponics or in the ground, that you add a row for the local food bank or for others who are in need and do not have food sustainability. And this time when so many are struggling with the cost of food, to be invited to be part of making a real positive difference. You have so much you can do today um, to make a positive difference and to allow yourself to receive the positive differences that others are offering to you. And so, people who are kind and considerate to you, to pay attention to that and not miss it. Sometimes I do think we're so caught up in the negativity that we don't hear the kindnesses, we don't hear the generosity, we don't take note of those moments of just divine grace that pop up in our lives. So, for you this day, as you think on this April day, um, what for you are you hoping? What are you nervous about? What are you longing for? I invite you to be prayerful about that and to hold that before God, to know that you are loved and that you are called and that God is with you. And I pray that you'll feel renewed in your sense of purpose today, to take a risk for goodness, to reach out to somebody and say, you've just been on my heart. I thought I would call. To say a kind word to the person at the store, to invite an invitation for time to spend with a friend. So, whatever is on your heart today, whatever is live for you, my prayer is that you'll know that you are loved, that God is with you, and that the resurrection of Jesus Christ really calls us and transforms us to be about the things Jesus is about. That our life is a reflection of the grace we've received. And so may you be blessed and be a blessing. And I look forward to seeing you next week and continue to share with one another and continue to pray for this hurting world. Talk to you soon.